The super license has now been cleared, and along with that, of course, we have now cleared all of the licenses in this game. And yes, as you might have guessed, we have also cleared all 5 of the coffee breaks, which are technically part of the licenses unofficially, but as you might have guessed, I did manage, of course, to get those on the gold. And now, as I said before, well, 2 things actually. So first of all, because it's still technically the first week of 2025, obviously, Happy New Year, and now we are going to get started by doing part 2 of the rally events. And I know precisely which car it is I want to use to start this off. Basically, one of the cars that, believe it or not, I won last time. One of 3, actually. Aside from it also being the Mercury Cougar and, of course, the Ford Model T. So we are going to start off 2025 by using the Pontiac Solstice for our first normal rally event of this game. And before we get on with this, as you might have guessed, I am of course going to head over to the Pontiac manufacturer because, well, we need some tuning. And that's what we're going to do. So this thing is very much natural aspiration, but I'm convinced in saying that because this thing has a lot of acceleration, I don't think we're going to need too much tuning here. So first and foremost, I'm going to put on stage 1 of weight reduction, because I figured this might be needed. I think the tyres will be fine. I'll just put on a sport suspension here. And I think aside from this, the only other thing I think I'll really need for this is the racing chip. Aside from racing brakes, which of course is one thing that I will fit to this thing, because, well, we have plenty of low-speed corners when we get round to the Umbria rally. I think the only thing I'll really need with this is the racing chip. This is probably not going to be enough, but for now at least, I am at least prepared to take the risk of hopefully saying that this will be enough. And if it isn't, then, well, we'll just have to head back to the Pontiac tuning shop to get some more upgrades fitted. Anyway, here we are now for part 2 of the rally events. As we begin at the Italian street course for the Umbria rally, which requires us to have an International B license in order to enter, which means of course that from here the rally events are going to get harder. So this time we're basically doing the same races again, except for saying that this time around both the forward and reverse course we're doing 3 laps instead of 2. Okay, let's go and see how we do. Yeah, I'm going to quite simply pretend that my first attempt at this did not just happen, even though it did just happen. But whatever. I was just stupidly slow. I was practically about at a snail's pace, possibly with 1, maybe even 2 exhaust upgrades to actually keep me moving the way I was. But yeah, to put it simply, I was very much off the pace. So we definitely need more tuning here, because otherwise this is just going to keep happening to me. So I'm going to put on Stage 2 engine tuning, because I figure that's what will give my car that little extra boost. And I'm also going to put on port polish as well. And I don't think engine balancing is needed yet. I think the exhaust will be fine, but I will put on the sport soft tyres because I have a feeling grip is going to play a key role in this. And can I put on the carbon drive shaft for this? Yes, I can. So, gonna put this on as well, because I think it may be needed. And... yeah, fuck it, I'll put on the triple clutch. I think this might help me out as well in terms of getting more acceleration off the corners. And yeah, let's get the racing flywheel as well. Again, I'm having to spend a bit more money than I would want to, but again, this is a case of me trying to prove that it is possible to best what's essentially another one of the Group B monsters. Nah, I'll keep the suspension as it is. And how much is it for a Stage 2 upgrade? That's not quite as much. You know what? I think we should be fine. And how much does the exhaust upgrade offer? You know what? Just to make this easier... nah, I won't cheat. I'll put on the engine balancing, just to try and see if this will make this thing a little bit faster. Yeah. Okay, I think we should have everything we need now. And if we don't, then well, I'll just have to keep trying until we do. Okay, let's try this again, and where hopefully, this time at least, my Pontiac does have enough power to compete with our opponents. And this time, we are up against the Lancer Evo 6. So, I'm convinced in saying that we're not going to have as much trouble this time around as what we had last time around. Because last time, we were up against the Mitsubishi Starion, which, for want of a better phrase to those who know, is technically another one of the Group B monsters. And because I was essentially going up against a Group B rally car, I basically got my ass handed to me. And that's why all of these upgrades are fitted, because, well, they need to be there. But hopefully, with me giving this car some improvements in all fields, hopefully we have more of a chance this time. Or if we don't, then well... oh, okay. Yeah. Something tells me I did not need to spend all that money. Oh well. Now that we're up against the Evo 6 instead of the Starion, I have a feeling that says we probably did not need to spend as much money as we actually did. But either way, I can definitely say my car is a bit more responsive now than it was before. I have a feeling once I take the lead, I'm probably going to absolutely truncate my opponent's odds of besting me. Okay. Yep, that was tight. That was really tight. Have no idea how I pulled that off, but it was definitely tight. Well, at least I can say my opponent is staying close to me for now, so... At least I can say for now, he is keeping on tabs with me. And I get a bump from behind, but that's okay, because... I think I'll be able to hold on. And that's a wall. Well, I kind of knew these mistakes were going to happen. This race actually isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. I can definitely say that Tommy Mackinnon Edition Evo 6 is actually doing a pretty good job of keeping up with me right now. He's not letting me pull away with this, to put it simply. He's actually doing a pretty good job of keeping up with me at the moment. And now it looks like I've broken away. Well, it was a nice little battle while it lasted, but then again, I kind of figured it wasn't going to last, considering I'll only get 10 points this time if I win. But yeah, do be aware, if you do face off against the Starion, you're going to need plenty of upgrades to beat him. The Starion 4-wheel drive rally car is technically the one you need to be the most aware of around here. Because it is fair to say that if you're not prepared for the power of a Group B rally car basically pulling your pants down, then you will get punished for it. As I of course know. But either way, it looks as though this race is going to be won by me pretty easily. I'm slowly pulling away from the Evo 6, so I think that definitely tells me my car might be just a little bit overpowered. But either way, you have to be prepared for what's to come next, I guess you could say. So... oh shit, okay. I really thought for sure I was gonna hit the arch on that bridge. I really thought for sure I was gonna hit the arch on that bridge. I was honestly waiting to see how long it was before I inevitably hit something. Anyway. How far behind is the Evo 6 now? He's got to be at least 5 seconds back from me. Possibly 6. Okay, 5.6. So, I think it's fair to say that compared to the previous race with the Starion, and that's a wall. Well, until it was ruined by that last second penalty, I dominate race 1 of the normal Umbria rally. And it wound up being 1.5 seconds in the end because, well, I bopped myself right at the finish. Well, I slapped the wall right at the finish. Even though I did my best not to. But whatever, we still won. So it's fine. Okay, let's move on to race 2. And this time we are up against the Evo 8 on the reverse course. Yeah, I'm still not convinced in saying this is really going to be enough for me to feel like it's necessary to take off my tuning parts. I think I'm going to keep them on for this, because if I don't, then, well, it's very possible to say I could wind up making the same mistake I did before. I did think about reducing the horsepower my car has, but because it's the Evo 8 this time, I'm not going to do that. And as I would have expected, a 10-point race if I win. I'm honestly not too surprised to say that up to this point, getting around these roads in a car as very much wheel spinny as this car is, I'm really not surprised to say that I have been struggling a lot up to this stage. Because there are not many opportunities around here where you'll actually get to pass the car in front of you. And even when you do manage to pass the car in front of you, there's no guarantees in saying that everything will be smooth sailing, because it absolutely will not be. As I have come to find out with my 2 failed attempts previously. So, the odds of actually recovering from your mistakes around here, well, unless you have a 4-wheel drive car, they're practically slim to none. So basically, the only real advice I can give you is you have to get past your opponent as soon as fucking possible if you're not driving a 4-wheel drive car, because if you don't, then you will probably pay a price that I think is even more gold-filled than Fort Knox. As in, you will basically be given what feels like such a hefty whack that I guess you could say it's about as painful as sustaining what's probably a gangster-style whack. In other words, it basically just shoots you in the face if you don't manage to get past your opponent early. And that's one thing I ultimately failed to do in my first 2 attempts, and that was why I got behind and basically fucked up as many times as I did. Fuck. Okay. Yeah. So my advice is, unless you have a 4-wheel drive car around these very narrow streets, I highly recommend you use a 4-wheel drive car, not a 2-wheel drive car like me. Because the benefits will not be there for you unless you manage to build up a lead early. Because recovering from your mistakes, if you make them early on, you honestly have a very minimal, if not 0% chance to recover. Because that's just what these fucking streets will do to you. And it is fair to say they've done that to me enough times to say that. As in, it honestly does just shoot you in the face if you get any part of this course wrong. especially if you get loose, as I have done numerous times before now. Yeah, no point in me really getting on the gas because I would have been limited to 31 miles an hour anyway because of the penalty I had. But again, as I said before, this course will literally shoot you in the face if you get it wrong. And it is fair to say it's happened to me enough times to say that. Especially since the only real option you have in terms of winning the race is basically taking the lead early and doing whatever it goddamn takes to stay there. Fighting back from your mistakes here, well, as I said before, unless you're doing it in a fucking rally car, which obviously I am not, then the odds of you recovering from your errors, especially on these narrow streets, well, as I said before, there's a very slim to 0% chance you fully recover. Because this course will bite. It will basically give you the bite of a rattlesnake. And it is fair to say that if you don't have experience with this course prior to getting on with this, then it will still bite you. And just like that, right at the end, I wind up slapping the inside, and I do it again. Okay, this is embarrassing. Still, as I said before, you need a four-wheel drive car to get around here without having as many confrontations with this course as what I've had. And that's probably the reason why I highly recommend you use a four-wheel drive car. Because if you don't, then well, basically this course will fuck you up. And it will probably give you a stabbing. Because that's what it's done to me a few times already. But anyway, the deed is done. And now we can move on to our next rally event. Hopefully, the roads, of course, will be just a little bit more spacious. Actually, I'm pretty sure the roads will be a bit more spacious because they'll be a bit less punishing than the roads here. Okay, what are we going to win from this? Hey, we get the Lancia Delta rally car from this. I will have to consider using this thing at some point. I'm honestly not too surprised to say that we win this thing, because we did actually drive the Lancia Delta around this course at the GT4 Prologue time attack that we ultimately ended off that game with. I'm honestly not too surprised that we won a Lancia from that. But anyway, after having my fair share of struggles and failures, I was able to beat the Umbria rally. And I've also established that your chances of recovering from your mistakes, unless you have a good handling car at the least, they're practically slim to none, as we've gained 0.3% of progress, and, Lancia is near the top. And here is the car we get. The Lancia Delta HF Integrale Rally Car from 1992. And also a car that we can sell for nearly 160 grand. But because this is a Lancia, I'm not going to sell it. And also because, well, this car technically did win the World Rally Championship 6 years in a row. At least in the Constructors' Championship it did. Ironically, I also have a mouse mat of this car. But anyway, enough about that. Another rally event is done. And after having a fair share of struggles, I eventually managed to get it done on both variants of the course. Capri Rally is up next. Stay tuned.